Welcome everybody. Today's video finds us over here in Buriram Province. And what we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site that's over here, the Phnom Rung and the Muang Tam. This is Muang Tam. This is what they call the lower city. It's not the original name, but it's kind of what they've named it since, because they don't really know what it was called before. This is a site that dates back to the 11th century, and it was abandoned in the 12th or the 13th century. And it wasn't kind of rediscovered until about 50, 60 years ago or so when people came back over here and started settling in this region. So we're going to walk through here. We'll look around a little bit. I'll show you the baray that's right here behind me. That's absolutely massive. And then we'll go into the site and kind of enjoy it. Let's see what we see. This is the baray. This is a man-made water feature here. So they came in here and they dug this out. It's 590 meters by 1,090 meters. And it's a perfect little rectangle here. And they lined it with laterite stones. You can't see it in the brush. You can see just a little bit. And then it's water that comes off of Phnom Rung mountain that's way over there. And then there's like a canal that comes in right over there, and it fed this community that was here, and it was pretty important. It was probably an important agriculture area right here at the base of the Phnom Rung mountain, and then the river exited out over that way. Now there's a little shopping center here, and then there's a school, stuff like that, a modern Buddhist temple, and then the historical park is right over here. So this is a pay site. It's 100 baht for a foreigner if you want to come in, or 20 baht for a Thai. If you combine it with the package for Phnom Rung, it's 150 baht for a foreigner or 30 baht for a Thai. And you can see the price right over there. Don't climb on the ruins and stuff like that. And they tell you a little bit about the history. And then here's where you buy the tickets. And dress polite and act appropriate when you come in here. And this is what it'll look like if you were above up here. And then coming in. So we have a couple like pediments, and then over here is a lintel. So this is what you would see here. So this is Intra sitting on Kala, which is like the Thai Ruku, the god that eats the moon. And this is from around this area at Prasat Muang Tam. And the pediment here, that is Indra on the Airavata, which is the Thai Erawan, the three-headed elephant. And you can see the Naga and all the floral. So this is the pediment. This is above the entrance. And the lintel would have been the one going right across the top of the door. That's that one over there. Yeah, this is a huge area. So the temple, or the Prasat, is in the middle here. And you have this nice grass area. They do ceremonies, night markets and stuff like that certain times of the year here. And right over across the road here is a modern Buddhist temple. That's outside of the park. And then right here is the sanctuary. This was a Hindu sanctuary. I think it was dedicated to Shiva. And this is what it looks like from the front. It's really cool. All the use of the laterite and sandstone. Oh, it's unbelievable. The outer wall is in really good shape. It's kind of settled. You can see where it's kind of bowed down a little bit, but for 1,000 years old or so, this is really in nice shape. You can see the perimeter wall. And then this is the crucifix entryway. And then you see the pediments up there. Those are those stones that are just stacked. That's what we saw over there by the entry. Got a couple squirrels doing their thing over here. And then the lintel is this right above the door. Now this is Bupyeon styling, which the archaeologists can tell exactly kind of when it was built. And the telltale like markers are like these stones around the doors. Also certain things like those little bullet things that they put on the top of the corbelled arch. Check out that lintel up there. and then the pediment right above it. Just beautiful stone carvings. So the outer wall is a rectangle. It's 120 meters by 127 meters, and it's 2.7 meters tall. And then you have this crucifix. That's the, what do they call it? The Gopura? That's the entryway. Now, this is the stone carving underneath the stairs. So it's a lotus flower, and they got it covered to protect it. And then right here in the middle is another like 8-leafed lotus flower. And this would have all been covered whenever this was in use. Now it's open. And then you see these stone columns for the windows. So they notched them right there, and then they had these carved, and it would have been notched on the bottom. Kind of cool how they constructed it. And then you see they have a little triangle there with the stones around for the corbelled arch. And they carved all the stones up there. And then they would have had an image inside of here. This would have been like a Shiva linga. Now there's nothing in here. And over there they have another carving here, the lotuses. And you can see all the stone carvings here. And you can see how they put those at 45s. And there's all kinds of stonework that they did to get those window jambs to fit into place. And you can see how they're notched there at 45s also. But there's more to it. This goes back in here, and it notches to hold this piece in place. And then you see the corners also. They carved all that corner. And then they fit it perfect. And you can even see here how they put a little tiny stone. And then this one here, they carved it all around to fit in place. Oh, really cool. Okay, so this is just the Gopura, which is cool enough, but this is the center sanctuary right here. And this is the outer wall, and you see the use of the laterite stones. And then they put the base down here with laterite stones. And then they have these ponds in here that were used for ceremonies. We have a huge group of local uni kids that are over here and enjoying this today. So you can see the naga tail comes right here, and then the pediment. And it's a small little doorway, and they would have went through here down into the water for their ceremonies. And they carved all of this also. And you see the naga heads over there, and then the center sanctuary. This one over here, the carving is in a little better shape. You can see a little bit of the naga. The water's kind of brackish now, just sitting in here. There's no fresh water coming in and kind of flushing this out. It just kind of sits stagnant. And the tree's grown over there. Oh, really cool. I just love these old temples like this. I just think about how much work went into quarrying these stones, hauling them in, carving them. How many millions of hours, millions of hours went into all of this detail work. This was an organized effort to come here and build this. It wasn't just a couple guys, that's for sure. It would have been thousands and thousands. So you'd have had elephants in here, you would have had people scaffolding everywhere, chisels banging all these stones. Really an amazing feat. And the stairwell getting in here is quite narrow. They weren't built for big feet, that's for sure. But it was economy. You wouldn't have wanted to haul in big, wide stones when a small stone would have sufficed. And you can see this would have been a corbelled arch here, and it's all the tops open. All right, so this is the inner sanctuary now. So they have a little brick building there. You can see how they notched this. It's kind of cool, the 45s and everything. You can really see how they built it. And then you see more of it over here. Oh, this is so cool. And then they had a series of towers here. So they had a central tower that's completely collapsed. And then they had 4 smaller towers around. Yeah, so this is the library. So you see how they did a 45 there and a 45 on top, but then they notched it on the back like a tongue and groove to get it to interlock. And that would have kept it from shifting around. And we've also kind of protected it from earthquakes. They weren't thinking of that, I don't think. They were just naturally came up with ingenious solution to keep these intact. And then you can see the brickwork that they've done. Oh, this is so cool. Now, if you go to Surin, they have a really cool temple that's made out of the brick. That has a sandstone lintel, and then it has the laterite stones down here that were carved. And there's 4 of these small towers. And then you can see the Shiva Linga stone inside of here. And you can smell the guano. I don't know if you can see that on the camera there. That's how it looks at the top. And some of them, they have patterns back behind that they did out of the brickwork. This one doesn't have that. But above the door, above the lintel, this is that pediment. You can see the patterns that they carved into those bricks. It's like a little curving pattern. And then they did the pattern work out of all the bricks here, and then they carved the door jambs and everything. Now, unfortunately, the center tower is completely gone. This would have been the tallest one. It just has the 4 small towers around here. This is kind of an artist's depiction of what they think it would have looked like. And they would have been able to pick up a lot of the debris and see kind of the fine stuff up at the top. I really like this. This is so much fun to come here. So all the doors are open towards the east, and it's kind of a little different because they're not on the 4 cardinal directions. They're kind of even with the center prong and then back behind. And then check out that lintel right there. He's riding the bull. That's like Indra on the bull, and it has the kala, or the Thai version of the ruku. Oh, that's really cool. Now this is the back side of this. So you can see the lotus bud pattern. Same here. These are the faux entrances that are on the the other cardinal directions that are not towards the east. And then this is the lotus flower that would have been at the top of one of these. So this would have been sandstone, all carved, and then they would have hoisted that up to the top of these towers. And that would have been the final little piece at the top. And then this would have been the covered walkway all around here. You can see how they notched all these pieces of sandstone. So you could have walked around this covered walkway. That would have been like the gallery. You see the stone there, or the brickwork. I like how they carved those down into little points. It's just a shame that this center one is gone. But you can still kind of picture what it would have looked like with having 5 towers would have been just a little bit extra. But 4 with the base of that is cool. So you see the stones for the steps. That's not user friendly. So if you're handicapped, you're going to have a tough time getting up in here. Or if you're old like me, you got to kind of shimmy up on these. And this would have been the walkway. They bricked it off to where you can't walk through there now. And then this goes out here to around that center, and more of the ponds for the ceremonies. You can see here that tree there is dead. You don't want to really remove it though. The roots are taking up space in those bricks. You can see the center, and then another one of the entryways over there on the north. More of the naga tails and the little carvings here on that pediment. Got some workers over there raking up some leaves. And then this is the western entrance. You can see the size of the laterite stones, and they carved all these stairs, everything. Just carved everything. It's so amazing. And this is a small temple compared to the ones in Angkor. If you go to Bayon or Bupyeong Temple or Angkor Wat, those are so colossal. But this is kind of a good example though of a Khmer style temple. You come over here and you can kind of see all the elements that they used at a smaller scale compared to the big temples. And this is what it looks like out here, the west entrance. You can see the little bit of the town over here. Got a little dog, he came over to bark at me a bit. Want to say hello. You can see more of this. This would have been all crucifix formed or shaped here around the Gopura. You can see this laterite stone there. And just to give you an idea of the size of that wall. So 2.9 meters tall, and then they put the stones on the very peak of it also, all the way around, 120 meters by what, 128 meters. And then they have the entryways on the 4 cardinal directions, and then that center sanctuary. With the use of the brick is kind of cool because it's different than Phnom Rung. There's a couple that were brick up there, but most of it was either laterite or sandstone. Really, really an amazing little place. And you see the little pond over here with the lilies in it. And it's all lined with the laterite stones. Yeah, really quite cool. Well, that'll finish up our video over here at this Prasat Muang Tam, this lower city as it's called. This is an 11th century Khmer ruin that's here in the middle of Buriram Province. This is quite cool. It's part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. So if you're over there at Phnom Rung, come over here and take a look at this. It's worth a look at it also. It's not as spectacular as the one up on that little lava mountain that's 402 meters up above this valley, but it's still worth your time to come over here and take a look at if you like these old ruins. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and you get to see more stuff like this. And if you've been here or have any questions or comments, ask me down below and I'll do my best to answer them. And until next time, from over here in Buriram, remember, life is a journey. Until next time, enjoy.